Speaking of war crimes, this Ben Robert Smith guy's been arrested, which is good. Allegedly, he's done war crimes. Now, this is still yet to be proven, but I don't know if 21 other SAS soldiers testify against you and say you did that shit. It's looking likely. It's looking at least like you weren't on your best behavior. And it's so interesting to see how the public is responding to this, because it's being framed as this like left versus right wing issue when it's absolutely not. Like all these people on the right are being like, oh, they're attacking our soldiers, when really like it's other soldiers that dobbed the guy in. And they're trying to frame it as this left versus right wing thing. And all these fucking conservative Australian people are just justifying, like if it's true, they're justifying war crimes in the same way that, you know, those very same right-wing cookers would probably condemn Israeli soldiers for doing shit like that. It's a really crazy thing to watch happen, because I remember when he was accused of all of this stuff and then sued places for defamation and lost those defamation cases. By the way, the judge ruled that it was very likely that it happened. So it was a civil case. He didn't go to jail, but he did lose his defamation case. And that's the whole reason why these actual criminal charges have happened, because he was stupid enough to sue news organizations for shit that he probably allegedly did. But when that was all happening, I do not remember it being like a left versus right wing culture war thing at all. Like it was framed maybe more as, oh, they're attacking our soldiers that fought for our country. But then when it came out that other soldiers testified against him, that kind of washed away, because that just didn't make sense. And also, like, holding soldiers accountable for doing war crimes is not hating what our servicemen have done for our country, right? Even if you disagree with the war in Afghanistan, which I do, that doesn't discount the heroic actions that many of them made during that conflict to save their friends, to protect their mates, to protect civilians. Like the soldiers getting deployed to a place doesn't make the soldiers evil, right? If they were deployed for an evil reason, because the powers that be made an evil decision, that doesn't necessarily mean the soldiers are evil for not wanting to go to fucking prison or not understanding why they've been deployed. A lot of these kids are literally 18. But if the most highly trained SAS soldiers are out there doing horrific war crimes and being testified against by their fellow SAS soldiers, that's evil, allegedly. So it's so weird seeing this be being framed intentionally as a culture war thing, left versus right, when it's just not. We should be holding our soldiers to very high standards. Or are we not the good guys? You know? Like that's an argument that always confuses me, of like, oh, this is the reality of war and this is what war is. And it's like, okay, but if you're justifying war crimes, you can't also in the same breath be like, we're there to help them. Because if we're there to help them or we're not. So if we're there to help them and to defend freedom and stuff, then that's what we have to embody. We have to be freedom, and we have to be protecting the innocent and the weak. We have to not be killing and maiming people for fun. Obviously. It is a very confusing thing. And also, there's a reason why war crimes are prosecuted, right? Because if you don't prosecute war crimes, you don't get peace. The more war crimes an army commits, the further you galvanize the enemy against you, right? The goal of war is peace. The goal of war is either peace or genocide. Those are really the only two goals. Either you're fighting to stop fighting or you're fighting to kill everyone, right? Both of them, arguably, a road to peace. But one of them's an evil road, right? There's peace if everyone's dead, but that's obviously evil. But if you are out there just committing war crime after war crime after war crime, all you do is convince the people you're fighting against that you are the devil and you are evil and that you must be stopped at all costs. We can see that in certain regions right now. And another thing is, if you can't be doing war crimes unless your aim is to genocide. Because unless your aim is to annex or like if you don't want to run, if you're doing war crimes, you can't run the country yourself because you just have guerrilla fighters forever because you'll be an evil, violent dictatorship, right? You can only be doing okay with war crimes if you're doing genocide, but then what's the fucking point of the war? You're just destroying everything and killing everyone, and you can't utilize resources because you split your country in half trying to run it, right? So if the war that you're doing truly is just for peace, you can't do war crimes because at some point that war will end and you will have to work with the government and the people that you were at war with. You have to treat your enemies with a level of respect because otherwise you will never get peace. We see this. This is why World War II happened. A huge reason why it happened is after World War I, every single country put gigantic, huge, massive sanctions against Germany to the point where it ruined their economy and put the people in misery, and they rose up because it was unfair and they had legitimate gripes. And then you got fucking Hitler and it made the whole world worse. Right? So you have to treat your enemy with respect, right? Because another thing, we lost that war. We were fighting the Taliban. The Taliban were terrorists. Now they're the government. They run Afghanistan. That means we have to do diplomacy with them. If we are trying to do diplomacy with this country, trade for resources, all that kind of shit, and we are not prosecuting our soldiers that did war crimes to their military soldiers, we can't trade with them. It puts us at odds with them. It might kick off another war. You know, if we need oil from Afghanistan and we're not going to go there to fucking take it from them, we want to trade it for them. They have every right to be like, okay, we'll give you this oil. We'll sell it to you for this price, but you're going to have to prosecute that guy for doing war crimes. That's diplomacy. You can't not prosecute war crimes. You can't say, oh, it's just the reality of war. The reason why we prosecute war crimes is because it promotes peace. So either you're fighting for the right to do war crimes, which is fighting for the right to just be the bad guy and be evil, or you think that the wars that we do are and should be just, in which case you must prosecute war crimes. So that's why this whole thing of like, oh, it's an attack on Aussie soldiers and this is the reality of war, it's fucking bullshit. I want to live in a country where we have a strong military that is held to very high standards. That if, God forbid, we have to go to war, we do it the most moral way possible. And we do it in a way that actually makes the world better. Because if we're not doing that, then we're just evil. But yeah, I don't know. It's such a weird thing, and it is so weird also to see people being like, oh man, they're attacking soldiers. Like 21 fucking SAS soldiers didn't testify against him. And another thing is like that people are saying like, oh, those because the reason why these soldiers testified against him is because they were like subpoenaed, they were called into court. So that's like a lot of people are going, oh, you know, these soldiers they didn't choose to testify against him. It's like, of course they didn't. That's what getting fucking subpoenaed is. You know, just because you're compelled to testify doesn't mean your witness testimony doesn't count. You know, like you can get subpoenaed and say he didn't do it, and that counts as evidence. Like these people, if there were a bunch of people that got called into court and they said he didn't do it, it's not a valid argument to be like, oh, they said he's innocent, but they didn't come forward willingly to say that he's innocent, so that doesn't count, he's guilty. That makes no sense. Witnesses get called to testify, and if they have to testify, that doesn't mean that what they say is not true, especially not if they all testified separately and all said pretty much the same story, like they didn't contradict each other. Doesn't really get better evidence-wise with those witness statements. So, I don't know, man. It's so strange seeing how much, because I remember the first time when all this stuff kicked off. It's so strange seeing how much the online American culture war has poisoned discourse here in Australia, and it's fucking poisoned the well, where everything is a left versus right issue, and it's all kind of framed as this like MAGA versus soy boy lefties, when we have nothing to do with that. We are Australia. It's so weird, and it's all just divisive algorithms poisoning everyone's brain and making everyone allergic to nuance and unable to research, and they're just fucking believing what they see on Facebook and yelling about it. It is really evident, the change, and that's just awesome and gives me a lot of hope.